Hello, YouTube. It's me. It's Mr. Yatix, and I'm back like a vertebrae. I'm here with some very important and special news for you today, YouTube. The news is that I've written a book. That's right, with words in it. Some of the words are the same, but that is apparently allowed. Here it is. Here is my book, what I have written. Okay? It's not about Wing Chun. I'll tell you what it's about in just a second, but please listen on. It's called It Looks Like You're Writing a Letter. Okay? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what the book is about, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I wrote it and why. And hopefully that's interesting enough for you to follow the link down there and go and buy a copy, which would be absolutely terrific. Not necessarily because I want your money, but more because I want you to read it. And because I wouldn't have written it if I didn't want you to read it, would I? Makes sense. Okay, so it looks like you're writing a letter. Okay, now the title might ring a bell to you if you're of a certain age, but I won't give away why exactly it's called that. It becomes apparent throughout the book. It is a work of fiction. It is loosely speaking science fiction, but don't be scared. It's not about jetpacks and flying cars and whatnot. It's basically it's a detective story essentially. It concerns a private eye, a consultant called Henry Thorner, who's kind of over the hill and a bit past it and whatnot. And he is charged with finding a hacker called Tanner Griffin. And the catch is that this is set maybe 30-ish years in the future, and there's one social network that rules them all called Aura, okay, O-R-A. And it basically, imagine it's bought Facebook, it's bought Google, it's bought Twitter, and it owns everything. Now, think about at the moment how much data there is stored about you on the line as it is. We all know it. Your privacy is pretty much a thing of the past. Now, amplify that by 10, and what you've got is a situation where everything is known at all times by Aura. There's one company knows everything about you, who you are, what you eat, who you eat it with, where you are, what you think about everything, and of course it has algorithms that join everybody together. So the twist is that Henry Thorner, because he's an older guy, he doesn't have a profile. He doesn't have a social profile. He's essentially off the grid, and that means that nobody really knows where he is at any point in time, and that can make his job very difficult when he's trying to find missing people and whatnot, especially when he's trying to find somebody like Tanner Griffin, who is an expert hacker who lives online, basically. He earns his living by stealing data and all the rest of it. Anyway, so Tanner Griffin goes missing, and his little sister comes to Henry Thorner and says, "You've got to go find him. I've heard you're very good," all the rest of it. So he does. He goes off to try and find Tanner Griffin. Now, that's the basic setup. Old guy with no profile has to go and find expert hacker without any use of the internet or computers and anything like that. It gets slightly more complicated because he finds Tanner Griffin, who has paid for the services of a person who can create brand new social profiles from nothing and essentially give you a rebirth, a brand new name, a new set of friends, new set of interests, and the entire history is fabricated. But to Aura, it doesn't know the difference. So essentially, it's about the witness protection program, but as far as social media is concerned, because you only really exist online, you don't actually exist in real life, because if it had not been tracked in Aura, then it hasn't happened to all intents and purposes. So Tanner Griffin gets a new identity and everything is swell, but no sooner has he got his new identity than his old profile murders a senator hundreds of miles away. Okay, so follow this. So the old Tanner Griffin is now wanted for murder. The new Tanner Griffin, who's now called David Wilkinson, isn't, but he has to find out who's framed him and why. Okay, so the basic gist is that Henry Thorner, Tanner Griffin, and a mercenary called Jeopardy, who's a young girl with all sorts of terrible issues, go off to try and catch the Tanner Griffin profile. They trace it online, they chase it, they have to try and get to it and find out who or what is at the end of this profile who's committing murders in the name of Tanner Griffin. Okay, so there's lots of other things that go on around and about that, and there's all sorts of revelations and whatnot. And it's a fast-paced moving book. It's not terribly long. It's a decent read. And I'm tremendously proud of it. Really, really, really proud of it. It's my first book I've ever written. Okay, and to give you an idea of how pleased I am, it's got something like 11 5-star Amazon reviews at the moment and counting. And I've sold a few copies, maybe 100 or so copies, not too many. But like I said, the important thing for me as a new writer is to get it out there and get people talking about the story and the characters and really get investing in it and get something out of it. So I hope that you will follow the link down there and buy a copy of this, because it would mean a lot to me. It really would. Even if you don't normally read sci-fi, I want you to give it a try. If you like the writers like Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett, James Ellroy, Philip K. Dick, Ray Bradbury, people like that, any of the classic sci-fi, Isaac Asimov, any of that. If you like that kind of book, you'll love this. If you like films, you don't normally read, but you love films. If you like films like Blade Runner, Strange Days, The Matrix, things like that, then you're going to love this book. It reads very much like a action film, is the best way to describe it. There's no boring bits in it, basically. And there are some explosions and some car chases. What more could you possibly ask for? Right? So that's the book. It looks like you're writing a letter. Please, please, please buy a copy. It's getting near Christmas. Buy it for somebody who likes sci-fi, if you like, and you can say you know the guy who wrote it and all the rest of it. And that would be totally awesome. So let me tell you a little bit about how I came to write a book in the first place. Now, some of you may know of something called NaNoWriMo. Excuse me. Sorry, did you want one? No, next time. NaNoWriMo basically is National Novel Writing Month. And basically, the challenge is, and it's a global thing, it's an international thing, it's been going for quite a long time. The idea is that you write a novel in a month, in the month of November. You have 30 days in which to write a novel, and they define a novel as being 50,000 words in length, which is, broadly speaking, what my book is. And you write every day, and you have targets, and at the end of it, you should have a first draft of something, even though it may well be crap. And I took the challenge on, because I had a good idea, and I thought, wow, this is this book that hasn't been written, and maybe it needs to be written. So I did it, and it was okay, and I wrote the first draft, and I was very pleased with myself, just having had written the book regardless of its quality, because at this point I had no idea if it was garbage or what, really. And then I was very lucky to have a professional writer friend of mine agree to edit it, and she had a look at it, and she said, actually, this is really good, it just needs polishing up. And so from that point on, I did 9 drafts, I think it was, going backwards and forwards, and just polishing the language and just learning about how to actually write, because you might think you can write, but there's so many rules and really arcane stuff that you have to know about for things to flow that you take for granted normally. And so I learned an absolute ton doing the first book, and it was a very enjoyable experience. Like I said, best part of a year's worth of work to get to where we are now. I launched it as an ebook first of all. It's on Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, book everywhere you want to find it is there. And the feedback I got from other people who I respected and who I enjoyed reading, and even people who didn't, who said this is the first book I've read in decades, that everyone really liked it. That was really positive, and it really gave me a lot of confidence. So I'm now writing another one because it's November, and I'm getting near the end of my second book, which is longer. It's not really sci-fi, but it is about telepathy and empathy and how people connect to each other, which is quite interesting. So please give my book a try. It looks like you're writing a letter. If you don't want a paperback, which you can order from my website in the comments below, then please find it on Amazon for the ebook, iTunes, Google Play, Smashwords, Barnes & Noble, Nook, everywhere you will find this book. Please do buy a copy. And I'd really appreciate it. And I hope that if you do read it, that you leave me a review or a comment, or just get back to me in some way and let me know what you thought about it. A question I always ask people is, after you finish the book, if you were to make a film of it, who would you cast as each of the characters? That's really interesting to get those answers back again. So that's it. Shameless plug time. We're back to business as usual very shortly with some more Wing Chun videos about me blithering on about stuff and arguing with people, which is what I do best.